We have a brand new set coming to Pocket very soon, Secluded Springs. And in these Secluded Springs, we know a lot of the cards that are coming. So I'm going to do a full breakdown of every single card and give my take on how well I think they're going to do in the meta. Hello everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw, let's get into it. Let's take a look at the newest supporter card, Traveling Merchant. First, shout out to Pokemon Zone, where I'm taking a look at a lot of these cards here. This is a supporter trainer card. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Put all Pokemon tools you find there in your hand. Shuffle all other cards back into your deck. This is fun, and it also feels like one of those supporter cards that is extremely specific, and in that extremely specific use case, it's still kind of bad, unfortunately. The thing is, you don't know what 4 cards you're going to see. You could draw all of your tools before you get this card. Even if you do find like 3 tools, like even if you seriously go digging and like strike gold in your deck, it still doesn't feel like that good of a card. There are just so many other things that you would rather have. Yes, it works for Slowking, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Otherwise, this card just feels straight up kind of awful. I'm going to give this 1.5 Misty Flips. The only reason I'm giving it 1.5 is because you'll make a fun deck with it, and I'm on board for something fun. Otherwise, I don't know, Skarmory, maybe? Like, sorry, this doesn't feel very good. Next, let's take a look at some of our Pokemon here, starting with Slugma, 80 HP, 2 Fire Energy to deal 40 damage with Combustion. There's something okay about this, and it does kind of directly work with a Magcargo deck, but you have this weird situation where you could have attacked for a single energy with your Slugma had you used the other Magcargo that was available. The HP is nice, 80 HP is pretty good. And you could make an argument that just having some extra HP is valuable enough to run a card like this. Otherwise, I don't think this is going to be very good. I'm going to give this 2 Misty Flips. You could definitely see it in a Magcargo deck, but you don't need to see it in a Magcargo deck. Now we have Stunfisk, 90 HP as a basic with a 2 retreat cost, which is a bit of a bummer for a lightning card. Static Shock, able to do 50 damage for 2 energy, one of them being colorless. This just feels rough. I think of a card like Zoroark, where it's able to do 50 damage for 2 energy. Yes, it has to be 2 lightning, but 50 for 2 energy, and it generates its own energy turn 1. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. This feels like pack filler to me, and I'm going to have to give that 1 Misty Flip out of 5. I might even give it half a Misty Flip. Well, let's not get crazy. I don't know if my scale works like that. We'll give it 1. Next, we have the Phanpy, which is really beautiful art. I absolutely love it. You know, this game never ceases to crush it when it comes to the art, and they always do a great job. The cool thing about this is it means we have another Donphan coming, so I'm excited to see kind of what that will be, and if maybe that will pair well in sort of a Donphan EX deck that we already have that lets you pivot between the two. But talking about this Phanpy, 70 HP with the attack Flail for a single fighting energy. It does damage equal to the amount of damage that you have on it. This is not great. One thing that it could maybe do is convince your opponent not to hit you for a moment. That maybe you could do that, but then again, what if they're only hitting you for 20 or something like that, then you've got energy to only do 20 damage. Maybe you are putting Phanpy in the active spot, you get hit by the enemy Raichu, it does 60 damage to you, and then you're hitting it back for 60 plus its weakness. Like, I don't know, man. It just feels not very good. I'm going to give this 1.5 flips. The only reason it's got a half there is maybe this somehow feels like it works really well with the new Donphan, but yeah, that's probably a no. Next, let's take a look at Slowking. Stage 1, 130 HP, evolving from Slowpoke. Obviously, this means we get a new Slowpoke in this set as well. The attack is Litter. You get to use this for only 1 water energy, which is cool that water actually gets to attack for not 18 energy, right? Discard up to 2 Pokemon tools from your hand, which is the tricky part about this. There's a lot of reasons that's tricky, obviously. The more cards you have in your hand, the juicier your hand looks to someone trying to red card you. This attack does 50 damage for each card you discarded this way. So you can do 50 damage or 100 damage depending on how many tools you discard. If you have no tools in your hand, this does nothing. Yeah. Yeah. So I gotta say, I don't hate this card. In fact, I kind of love deck building with things like this. And for that reason, I'm going to give this 2.5 Misty Flips. Not that I think it will be meta, but I think it will be a really fun, funny deck to play. And I actually am fully on board for things like that. I'm okay with not every deck being the most meta thing in the world. Not every deck needs to be Sylveon, fill in the blank, right? But I do think it's a little underwhelming for the amount of setup you need. Energy cost, super low. The cool thing about that means you could be powering other cards in the meantime. But you also need all of these tools that are just sitting in your hand. Blech. Okay. Next, we have Mantyke. Mantyke is the newest baby coming to the game. 30 HP, free retreat cost. You attack for nothing. Your attack Splashy Toss allows you to take a water energy and attach it to one of your benched basic Pokemon. Incredible. Water needs it. The babies are ridiculously good, especially as we move forward and we have more megas and things like that in the game. Mega Gyarados, obviously, you'd have to attach to Magikarp, which could be a little tricky. You know, I think a lot of decks could have bench snipers around the time they're looking for some of these megas, but able to attach that energy right there, give up only a single point, maybe give up another single point. That way, when Mega Gyarados comes in, you've given up the maximum amount of points before you're trying to fight with your Mega. So I do think Mantyke is maybe one of the best cards in the set, maybe the best card we've seen in the entire set. I am going to give it 4.5 Misty Flips. The only reason it doesn't get 5 is because I would like 5 Misty Flips for something we really haven't seen before. Next, we have Feebas. There isn't much to say about it. It's very similar to the Magikarp from Mythical Island, or almost like identical, it looks like. The 1 energy attack leap out will switch with one of your benched Pokemon, and then this will evolve into Milotic. So I do think this card it's kind of weird rating it. It's not very good, right? I mean, I guess I'd give it 2 coin flips, but the point is what it evolves into. It's a little scary having it on your bench because it is low in HP, so maybe that will actually be a real deterrent for this, but I think Milotic looks awesome. Let's talk about it. 120 HP, stage 1, evolving from Feebas. When you evolve this card, you can heal up to 60 HP from one of your water Pokemon. So this is like having a Lily, but it doesn't even have the requirement that they need to be a stage 2 or anything like that. You evolve it, you heal 60. That's really amazing. It could work on Gyarados, which is a stage 1, Palkia, or any of your water cards. This could be really, really cool. I'm very excited for this card. I'm excited for a lot of the water stuff in this set. I'm going to go and give this 4 Misty Flips out of 5. I don't know if it will be insanely meta, but it's super nice just having another way to heal your cards, and all you have to do is evolve. Oh, also I should mention on Milotic, I always called it Milotic, but then someone was like, it's Milotic. Let's face it, I don't pronounce any of these correctly. Aqua Edge, able to do 60 damage for 2 energy. If that was 70, right, for Oricorio, this card would be ludicrous. You still could run this in a deck as an Oricorio answer. You just might want to run a Geo so you can one-shot it every once in a while and then maybe get the little extra damage that Gary would need or something. But still, really solid card. Next, let's talk about Latias, 90 HP. I mean, it's cool to have a card that is working in conjunction with another, right? So 1 single psychic energy for crossing flights. If Latios is on the bench, it does 40 damage. Not bad in a meta where there are a lot of babies, right? So you have Latias out there early, Latios hits the bench, you one-shot Pokemon like that. If Latios is on your bench, if Latias is also in play, Latios does some cool things. So I'm going to give this 3 Misty Flips. I don't think it will be super meta, but I love cards that work in coordination like this. And these ones feel decent. Latios, the other side of this, 110 HP with the ability Fantastical Floating. If Latios is in play, it has no retreat cost. So as soon as you get Latios, you can now swap that Latios out of the active spot. 3 Psychic Energy to deal damage with Luster Purge, 120 damage, and then you discard all the energy. I can imagine seeing this with things like Gardevoir, even Lunala. They're psychic, so you could put it in a Sylveon deck. It'll be very fun and not super meta, but I do like things like this. 3 Misty Flips out of 5 for me. Next, let's take a look at our promo cards here that we've seen. Zoroark promo, 100 HP, the stage 1, evolving from Zoroark. Ability Illusion Trickery. That's a shout out for all my Unite fans out there. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this Pokemon's attacks during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. So there are some ways around this, of course. You can move this around, a Sabrina moving this around, a Cyrus to pull something from the bench. There are ways to cleanse this, right? But this is actually a really cool promo card. I like the idea of promo cards being pretty good and not game breaking, right? And I feel like this is kind of in that realm. 2 energy to do 70, not the worst in the world. We still don't have a good way to generate some dark energy, but I like this. I like it a lot. I like the idea that you could move this in, pick up a KO, and then still continue to power something like Darkrai on the bench, dealing more damage. So this one's cool. This is going to be 3.5 Misty Flips from me. I like it. I also think, given that we see that it is kind of the art of this, there's probably just a base version of this in the set. Next, we have the promo Miltank. Look, I love this card. It's so cheese. It's not great, but it's so cheese, you guys. 110 HP for a basic, by the way. That's pretty considerable. We don't know its retreat cost, but I'm sure it's like 8,000. A single colorless energy allows you to attack with Rolling Frenzy for 10 damage. And then until this Pokemon leaves the active spot, the Pokemon's Rolling Frenzy does plus 30 damage, and it continues to stack. Are there counters to this? Yeah, you could Repel, you could Sabrina, Cyrus the bench. You can do a lot of things. However, this is freaking hilarious. I love this. I love a promo card like this. This is going to be one of those decks that's just so funny to play. I'm giving it 4 Misty Flips. Not because it's powerful, but because I think it's just great. This is just a great, fun card, and I cannot wait to play with it. Let's talk about Raichu EX, aka the Raikou. This Pokemon seems not bad, not amazing. The abilities on the legendary beasts, aka legendary dogs for all the real ones, it's really good. Legendary Pulse at the end of your turn, if this Pokemon's in the active spot, draw a card. That's dummy good. Like, it's just like drawing your deck is one of the most important things you can do in the game. So that's incredibly powerful. Its attack, 2 lightning for Voltaic Bullet, 60 damage, and 10 damage to a bench Pokemon. There are some cool synergies with this, right? First of all, putting this in the active spot, having Zeraora on your bench, you're able to send the energy up with an elemental switch very, very fast, and you will still be able to draw a ton of cards. That is quite powerful. Attacking for 60 for 2, not too bad. Hitting the bench sets up a lot of Cyrus plays. I like this. I think all of the legendary beasts, I'm kind of in this realm of I like them, don't love them, but I don't think they're as bad. Like, some people are like, these are terrible. They don't feel that bad to me, but they also don't feel that broken right away. And we are used to things being broken right away, sometimes in Pocket. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this one 3.5 Misty Flips out of 5. This might secretly be one of the better ones though, just with how fast lightning is and how easy it is to move lightning from your bench after like Zeraora has already generated it early. So I'm excited for this one for sure. Next we have Entei EX, 140 HP, so a little bit more than the cow. Blazing Beatdown is the attack, 2 for 60, and if it has 4 fire energy attached, it does 60 more damage. So this one's interesting. There are ways to get 4 fire energy attached to us that don't seem impossible, but it is a little tough trying to attach 4 fire energy to something that you also want in the active spot when there aren't a ton of great ways to generate extra fire energy otherwise. There are definitely some combinations you could see. You could Kiawe your bench, right? Like Turtonator, and then throw the energy up using an elemental switch. You could use Flareon EX, pull that energy, that whatever's in your discard, generate extra energy and move it up. You could also just power this and fight. 60 is not bad, and then once it's swinging for 120, that's pretty considerable. This is maybe my least favorite of the 3, even though I think all of them are decently strong. I just like the idea that Raikou has what feels like a simpler time to get value in the active spot because of other cards in Lightning. I think Fire is a little tougher here, but not impossible. I'm going to go ahead and give this 3 Misty Flips out of 5. Next, we have Suicune EX, our final card that we're going to talk about in this set so far, and this is the star of it, right? This, like, it's front and center. They really want to show off Suicune. A water card that only requires 2 energy, which is pretty rare. Same ability as the other legendary dogs, right? The attack Crystal Waltz is really interesting. So, for 2 energy, it does 20 damage for each of your and your opponent's benched Pokemon, right? This creates a few interesting scenarios. One, if your opponent doesn't play a bench at all, it's only up to you to generate damage for this thing. You could have 3 on your bench, and then you're doing 60, which is, 60. It's not amazing. If your opponent is like filling their bench though, you could quickly do a lot of damage for only 2 energy. You have to think of all the decks in the meta that love playing all their cards. Like things like anything with Sylveon basically loves to play all its cards. And it doesn't want to keep all of them in its hand because you can easily disrupt their hand. I feel like when you're playing Suicune EX, you will absolutely have hand disruption cards like Red Card and Mars, because when your opponents see this, they're not going to want to play their bench and you're going to want to punish them for it. So it's either they play their bench and you punish them for it with damage, or they don't play their bench and you punish them for it by messing with their hand and slowing them down. While none of these are perfect, I think this is probably the strongest of the bunch. However, it's counterable in some really interesting ways. I'm just excited that we have water cards that maybe actually in some reality could do something. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one 4 Misty Flips out of 5. And those are my thoughts on all of the cards in the set. Let me know what you think I'm right about, what I'm wrong about. Obviously, the set's not out yet. I could really read some of these poorly and have a huge misread on the meta. I think all of the legendary beasts could definitely find some decks and do well in, and it is good that cards other than Sylveon EX can actually draw, because that thing is unbelievable. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. I love you. I'll see y'all next time. We did it.